Hey there, I'm Ian Douglas. I'm the author of the website techinterview.guide, and I'm here to help people with career advancement and interview preparation. My live stream on Twitch covers topics such as company research, how to build resumes and cover letters, applying for the job, getting through interviews, and what to do during negotiations. I've coached thousands and thousands of people over the years to get jobs at the biggest tech companies in the industry, and I'm here to help you too. The following episode is taken from a longer live stream event and may contain interactions with other people in chat. Check out the end of the episode for more information. Let's get to it. Harboon says, I've been trying to get my first job as a front-end developer for about 2 months now. The first job in tech is the hardest one to get. Once you get a little bit of experience, like it's easier. I won't say it's easy, but it's easier to get your next job in tech for sure. But getting the first job in tech could take several months. The key there is researching companies where you want to work and then networking with people at those companies to really get to know them and let them get to know you. And then like trying to figure out what's important to them, because when you custom write a cover letter and a resume, and I saw a question in chat earlier about cover letters that I'll address in a moment. When you custom write a resume and a cover letter for them, you need to show them immediately, here's the value that I provide. That's really what the resume and the cover letter are all about. So I'll actually kind of tie these together. I've actually got some YouTube videos that you can go watch. If you go check out my YouTube channel, you can actually search for cover letter or search for the word resume. I've got a whole playlist on resume reviews, but I've also got a couple of videos on like how do you write a cover letter for the tech industry. The resume is just a list of facts. This is what I know. This is what I claim to know. This is how I've practiced it. This is where I've learned it. With a cover letter, you're basically giving me the context of a little bit more of how all of that relates to my application to your company. So the cover letter is like, I usually tell people three paragraphs. The first paragraph is introducing yourself, what role you're applying for, and why. The first paragraph is really needs to drop a lot of context about why you're applying for that particular job. Is it something about the company that interests you? Is it something about that particular job that interests you? That's why you're applying for that job. The second paragraph is like, what are the technical skills? Like, how have you built out projects that the company is going to care about? Like, what kind of project have you built that's going to really grab my attention as the hiring manager or as a recruiter reading that cover letter? How are you grabbing my attention? By saying like, hey, I built out this project that's exactly what you do. Or even better, if you're targeting a company that has an API or a library or a tool or a technology that you can build into a project, that second paragraph can be like, I'm a user of your software and I like it so much, I built it into these projects. I like it so much, I want to be part of the team that helps develop this. And then the third paragraph is how they can contact you. So the third paragraph, you can say things like, I'm actively interviewing for the next 3 weeks or the next 4 weeks. I usually tell them 3 or 4 weeks in that paragraph. Say I'm actively interviewing. You can reach me any afternoon. Something along those lines. You kind of want to tug on the psychology of what we call FOMO, or feeling of missing out. You kind of want to tug a little bit on like, you're going to miss out on me as an opportunity, but you don't want to be so aggressive. Like, you can only reach me on a Tuesday between 1:50 and 2 p.m., but only if there was a full moon the night before and only if I happen to be wearing my blue socks. Like, you don't want to make it so specific that they can never contact you. But that third paragraph, you also don't want to end with kind of the Carly Rae Jepsen call me maybe kind of mentality either, of like, I look forward to your call. You need to tell them when you want them to call. Like, make it a strong call to action of, you can reach me any afternoon for the next 4 weeks as I'm actively interviewing, and let them know. And now they're like, oh, okay, we have 4 weeks to get this person in, get them interviewed, and get through that whole process, because they're only planning to interview for 4 weeks. Even if it takes you longer than 4 weeks, that's still how you write that up in a cover letter, just to really, again, kind of play on that emotional level for them of like, oh, we don't want to miss out on this potential opportunity. Let's give them a call. There's FOMO in getting a job. There's FOMO in the recruiting side of how do we build out a cover letter in a way that sort of triggers that in the recruiter of like, oh, we need to get them on a call because they are actively interviewing, but they really care about our company. And as long as what you build and the resume and so on is really compelling to them, like you really match what they're looking for, they're way more likely to call you. It can also be really helpful. So going back to the whole networking thing, like as you're researching a company and meeting people at a company, I've got clips and so on that you can go watch on YouTube about this as well. Go find 4 people. Go find a peer level engineer. So if you're coming in as a junior dev, find another junior dev or somebody who's recently at the company. Find a senior level dev, someone that can mentor you at that company. Find a hiring manager and find a recruiter. So find those 4 people. And then when you reach out to them over LinkedIn, I usually say, in that message that you send, don't just send them a connection request. Actually add a note and say, I have 2 specific questions I'd like to ask about working at your company. Ask them those questions and then give them the opportunity in that message and say, if you want to respond offline, I'm happy to do that. I'd prefer a phone call though, if you have time for a phone call. You're way more likely to get a response from them if you give them the question ahead of time, because now they can think about how they want to answer it, as opposed to just like, hey, I'd like to talk to you about working at your company. It's like, okay, well, that's pretty vague. That doesn't give me any context into who you are, why you want to call me about working there. Like, are you calling me because you want to find out if I like my job because you're going to try and hire me away from that job? Or are you going to hit me up to like get a job? Like, you're letting them know like, hey, I'm thinking about applying for a job there. I want to ask you these 2 specific questions. You can answer offline, but I'd prefer a Zoom call or, whatever, if you've got time for a call. It also then gives them the opportunity of, if they feel like a phone call, they'll get in touch with you. If they don't feel like a phone call, they'll answer you asynchronously. But you're way more likely to get a response from that than just sending someone a connection request. They may or may not accept it, and then you've still got to follow up and ask them those questions anyway. But if you just reach out to people and say like, hey, have you got time for a phone call? They'd be like, why? Like, you haven't given me any reason to want to get on that phone call with you. And so if you say, I've got these 2 questions, I'm thinking about applying, I want to hear about your experience working at the company. Have you got time to answer these 2 questions on a phone call? They've got to be brief because you've only got 300 characters in that LinkedIn introduction. You've only got 300 characters, so you've got to make it compact and really compelling. And so there is a bit of an art and science in there. If you're curious about that, I can help you kind of message those things. So you can reach out on all the social channels. I'm Ian Douglas 736 on most platforms, or just Ian Douglas on platforms. But like LinkedIn and so on, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I will help you with introductions and so on as well. So that's what I think about cover letters. So the first paragraph is like, who are you? Why are you really interested in my company? The second one is like showing them why you're relevant to the company and the immediate value that you bring. And that's got to tie in on the resume. And then the third one is how they can contact you, and that they've got a limited window of time that they can contact you. Otherwise, they're going to miss out. That's like, you don't want to use those words, but that's the feeling you want to convey in how you word that. So go check out my YouTube videos. I've got a whole YouTube video on like how to build that kind of stuff out. And again, I'm happy to review those kinds of things as well. If you ever want a resume review or cover letter review, anything like that, I even had somebody hit me up like, could you do a LinkedIn review? You're welcome to send that stuff over in this link. If you want a private review, I do charge money, but it's all going into this fundraiser, and then I match all the money that goes in there. So if you pay $50, I'm putting $50 in there too. And then we're going to give that money away. Thanks for checking that out. I hope that you found it helpful. I always appreciate feedback, so please let me know what you think. I appreciate any subscriptions, so please tell your friends and colleagues about it as well. Check out the website techinterview.guide for more information about when I'm live streaming and all of my free content. Drop by a live stream anytime to ask questions, or message me privately, whatever makes you most comfortable. See you next time.